listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Hello there, IELTS students. In this tutorial, we are going to be looking at cohesive devices and how to use these accurately and appropriately in the next IELTS Writing Task 2 essay that you write. Hopefully, this will be soon because, the faster you move, the more essays you write, the faster you get feedback, the greater the chances are that you're going to improve and get that band 7, 8 or 9 that the majority of you are probably aiming for. This tutorial is going to first look at demonstratives. These are extremely useful and they are not taught that often. Most of the IELTS tutors out there who try to teach cohesion and coherence just focus on therefore, however, on the other hand, and all of those standard ones, which are useful and they are definitely valuable for your IELTS writing. But the more advanced students and the better writers among you, and even if you're at 6.5, there is no problem with still using these devices, but the better ones among you, perhaps the more ambitious ones, will probably pay more attention to the demonstratives because they are less frequent, and also it's just one of those features of the language that you start to become aware of once you know about it explicitly. Otherwise, they go under the radar, so to speak. Now, my name's Ben Worthington. I've been teaching IELTS for a long time. I lived outside of the UK. I'm now back home, back in the north of England with my family. Not many friends at the moment, but that's life. But I started teaching IELTS around 12 years ago. And I decided to specialize in the IELTS exam because this is where I find the best motivated, most ambitious students that want to change their life, that want to go places, that want to change the trajectory of their family, go to Canada, get that master's, get PR in Australia, in Canada. These are the types of students that I love working with. And, every day we get thank you emails. I got my band 7. I'm off to Scotland. I'm going to be a pharmacist or whatever. And this is just such a motivating factor for myself. Now, when I started, I was struggling. I had no idea what to do. So I just reached out to any professional I could find. I started recording the tutorials. I started releasing them, recording the interviews with other experts. I released them, it helped more students, and I tested the material that I discovered. I tested it with my private students. If it worked, it went into the online courses. If it didn't, never mind, move on, find another professional. And that's what's been happening for the last couple of years now. The last decade. So that's why you can be confident when you do use our courses that you've probably got the fastest, most effective way to prepare. And this only continues with the AI essay checker that we launched, where you can get instant feedback on your essays. So if you need any more information, just go to IELTSPodcast.com and you'll be able to find a ton of information there. Right. Let's jump into it. So as I said before, we're going to look at demonstratives first. There's like 3 types there that I will share with you. And then we're going to look at the more standard ones. And because I believe in offering practical, valuable tutorials, I suggest getting a pen. You can write these down. And also this will speed up your learning. But also because I insist on giving high value practical tutorials, most of these will come with examples. Examples are gold, not only for when you're writing, but for when you're teaching as well. It just brings it all home, makes it easier to understand. Let's start. So when we are referring to previous ideas, demonstratives can help you and help the reader It can help remind the reader of what you've already discussed, and this helps to reinforce your argument or your description. So let's have a look at an example paragraph. In recent years, the rise in urban pollution has become a major concern. This issue not only affects environmental health, but also poses significant risks to public health. In cities such as Beijing and Delhi, for example, the air quality has deteriorated to such an extent that it has become a daily hazard for residents. This situation has led to increased respiratory problems among the population. Hopefully, you will have heard two demonstratives there. We used this issue and this situation to refer back to the problem of urban pollution mentioned in the first sentence. This makes it a very clear and cohesive flow. So again, this issue and this situation. Here's a word of warning though. When you are using these, just make sure that you've only mentioned one issue previously, or you've just mentioned that issue. Because if you mention quite a few issues and then you start your next sentence with this issue, it can be confusing and it can actually negatively affect your cohesion and coherence score. Now, another valuable use of demonstratives can be to introduce new information or ideas that are related to the previous piece of text, but not directly mentioned. So this can be effective in presenting examples or elaborating on a point. Let's have a look at an example paragraph. Online education has revolutionized the way we learn. However, it's not without its challenges. One significant concern is the lack of face-to-face interaction between students and teachers. This limitation can hinder the development of communication skills and reduce the effectiveness of feedback. So here, we've used this limitation. This limitation can hinder the development of communication skills and reduce the effectiveness of feedback. And using the phrase "this limitation," it introduces a new aspect of the previously mentioned challenge of online education. So we're adding some depth, some detail to the discussion. And as I said before, you may have been unaware of these, because that's a sign of good writing, is that it's not screaming, "This is a connection," or "This is a linking device." It goes unseen. Just like when you've got a high-quality speaker, you don't think, "Oh, this is a high-quality speaker." You just naturally understand them, and then you might think afterwards, "Hang on a second, why do I understand? It's because they're using these devices. It's because they're speaking slowly." It goes under the radar. As a side note, I remember once I was walking in Budapest with my Israeli friend, and he said, "Oh yeah," we were talking in English. And he says, "Oh yeah, I went to Colombia and I learned Spanish." So I switched to Spanish just out of curiosity. And we started speaking in Spanish. And then I said to him, I was like, "Your Spanish is pretty good actually." And he was like, "Nah." And I was like, "Why not?" And he was going, "Well, when we were speaking in English, you never mentioned my English skills." And I was like, you're right. You're right. They were so good, they went unnoticed. It never occurred to me he was speaking a second language. And this is just one of those features. But your examiner, don't worry, your examiner will definitely pick up on these, because they'll have spent the whole afternoon or the whole morning either speaking to students at a lower level, and somebody with that level of skill will stand out. Likewise, also when your essay is being reviewed, these cohesive devices do not go unnoticed. Now, the next one we can use for connecting paragraphs. This is fairly more basic, but it's still useful. For example, firstly, the economic benefits of space exploration are substantial. That's a good one as well. These include the creation of new jobs and the development of innovative technologies. Secondly, space exploration has led to significant scientific discoveries. These discoveries have not only increased our understanding of the universe, but also resulted in practical applications on Earth. So can you here the devices were these include and these discoveries link the two ideas. This is a cohesive reference. The key to using these effectively are to maintain consistency. If you maintain consistency, it's just easier to read. So if I'd have said, firstly, the economic benefits of space exploration are substantial. This includes the creation of new jobs. Now it's inconsistent because I talked about the economic benefits of space exploration, and then I said this includes. So they might seem quite basic and straightforward to use, but it takes a higher level to use them correctly. And likewise with the second sentence. Secondly, space exploration has led to significant scientific discoveries. These discoveries have not only increased our understanding of the universe, but also resulted in practical applications on Earth. These applications include microwave technology, so on and so forth. Okay? Again, we kept it consistent. And this and these, those, whatever, they may seem basic, but trust me, they are very useful, especially if you've already used the basic ones, such as furthermore, in addition, and all the rest of it. Speaking of basic ones, let's jump into the list. So we have furthermore. This is when we want to add information that agrees with or expands upon the previous point. Public transportation reduces traffic congestion. Furthermore, it is environmentally friendly, decreasing the overall carbon footprint of commuting. And again, we can just use this as in the same way as in addition to. Next one. However, standard one. This is good. Be careful though. Perhaps you could use this more in your introduction. It is quite common. It's fairly basic, and you've got to use it with caution though, because when you say however, it's a contrasting idea or exception or an exception, and sometimes this can lead you down a different path. So if your entire body paragraph is writing in favor of public transportation, and then you slip in a however and you start talking about the negatives, it can lead, if you do it incorrectly, it can lead to a little bit of confusion for the reader. Next one. Consequently, you can use this to show the result or effect of a situation. I like this one. I believe we use it in our Band 9 essay templates, which, this is that famous framework we use, which just makes your essay writing quicker automatically and just helps you boost your score. It comes with all these embedded grammar structures and just makes it so much easier. So we use consequently to show the result or effect of a situation. Global warming is escalating at an alarming rate. Consequently, we are witnessing more extreme weather patterns worldwide. And I like this one a lot more than the other basic ones because it forces you to develop your essay. So a Band 6 student might still be using this is because, which is fine to get started, but a higher level student might frame their argument in a way that we use consequently, and then it shows a more natural development. You can also use this in your speaking as well if you're aiming for a higher score. Therefore, this is one of my favorites. This is how we started with our basic essay framework. It was, paraphrase, this is because, for example, and finish with therefore. Very basic, bare bones essay structure. It will definitely help you to get started as especially if you're new to the IELTS writing process, and that will produce a coherent essay, assuming you put in the right ideas. But it's very useful. We can use it for similar to consequently. I prefer to use it at the final sentence, just as kind of like a summary, as a reminder to the examiner that you're going to get full points for your essay. How do you use it as a reminder? Great question. Well, you use it as a reminder, you put therefore, and then you kind of paraphrase what you started off with. So again, if you're paraphrasing part of the question, which is what we teach, and then you put therefore at the end, you're on the right track to getting full points for task response. Let's see how we can use this. Renewable energy sources are becoming more cost effective and efficient. For example, solar panels are now widespread and have even been subsidized by the government. Therefore, they should be the primary focus in more energy policies worldwide, especially in the future. Can you see? We use therefore, we wrap it up, and it's a clear, clean way to finish that body paragraph. Again, we can use it in the conclusion, and we can also, if we've already used it, we can use thus. Thus is a little bit more formal still, and it's a good synonym of therefore. Moreover, this is very similar to in addition to or furthermore. So in it, again, adding extra information, supporting your argument or supporting your point. Urban green spaces provide a habitat for wildlife. Moreover, they offer residents a place for recreation and relaxation. Quite straightforward, quite basic. Despite this, again, quite similar to however, but it's slightly less common, could be argued as slightly more challenging to use. So you might want to do a few example sentences, get feedback on those example sentences before using it. So how do we use it? Let me give you an example. Many countries have made significant advancements in equality. Despite this, gender discrimination is still prevalent in numerous sectors. There we go. The next one. On the other hand, this is good, but remember to start off with, on the one hand, pollution is prevalent. On the other hand, there are policies now aimed at reducing it. Super basic example. The key to using this one is it comes in pairs. You can't say on the one hand, you cannot use it on its own. It's better, it's more cohesive if we've used on one hand in the beginning maybe of the body paragraph and then on the other hand later. In addition, we've already covered as a result. This is pretty useful as well. Especially if you're struggling, if you've already used therefore in the first body paragraph, or maybe you want to save therefore for your conclusion. As a result, you could use as a result. This one is to show a direct consequence or outcome. Many species have lost their natural habitats due to deforestation. As a result, biodiversity is declining at an unprecedented rate. That's a great phrase, isn't it? At an unprecedented rate. Write that one down. Similarly, this one is to make a comparison or to show a similarity between 2 points. Reducing waste is essential for environmental conservation. Similarly, efficient water usage is crucial for sustainable living. Quite a useful one as well, probably less basic than the other ones. So how do we use these? How do we use these devices? Well, never experiment on exam day. Make sure all your experiments are happening when you're at home writing essays, and then to make sure you're on the right track, you either get feedback from somebody. You can use one of our ex-IELTS examiners. You can get it for like $9 now. We lowered the price just to help more people. So it's $9 when you go over to use our AI essay checker, which is on our site at IELTSPodcast.com. When you start using that, you'll see an opportunity to get your essay checked with by an IELTS examiner, an ex-IELTS examiner. So how do you use both? Well, you can use the AI essay checker day and night, 24 hours a day, if that's the way you want to practice, but you can use it whenever you want. You get almost instant feedback. If you upgrade, you get more detailed feedback, and then you keep on refining the same essay and maybe just working on one sentence until you get it green. Then you move on to the next essay. This is what a lot of students have done. And then maybe you keep working on this and you've got it all green, but for some reason you're still stuck at a 6.5. So then you send it off to the ex-IELTS examiner. Or maybe you're still stuck at a 7 and you don't know why. So you can then send it to the ex-IELTS examiner and you can ask them like, hey, can you give me some ideas or suggestions how to improve this essay for a band 8? Or why is this still scoring me a 7? And this is how you use both of these resources together to maximize your score and improve faster. Now, if you enjoyed this tutorial, which I hope you did, and I assume you did because you're still listening to me. Not even my wife listens to me that long. So anyway, if you did enjoy this, all I ask is that you share it with your friends and maybe tag us when you share it on social media. I would greatly appreciate that. It would be a great way just to return the favor and say thank you. And this just helps us help more students like you, more ambitious students, get their goal, move forward in life, and as I said before, change the trajectory of the family tree. How powerful is that? That's just awesome. That's it for me today. Have a beautiful day. Keep working forward. You've got this. You can do it. Just keep moving forward. Keep writing those essays and you'll get there. All the best.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.